Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Autumn Blossom and welcome back to the channel. Today is just going to be another writing vlog. I think I will have said in my previous video, though I haven't edited it yet, so we'll see. But I think I said in my previous video that I wanted to change my first chapter to make it more more compelling, to draw the reader in, and at the moment I don't think it does that, so I'm going to spend the day, or at least part of the day, doing that, and then perhaps going back into some of my second book so that I can plan out some of the story a bit more than I have, because I kept saying that I was going to plan it and I never really did. So without further ado, let's get on with it. I've been writing for a while, and throughout the story I dip into the past through dreams. It's a way to give like context for things, and what I was going to do was start it off with one of the dream sequences about how she got somewhere without telling too much, and then I'd read the chapter properly, and I realised that I already had a dream sequence in the chapter. I didn't want to box the chapter in between two dream sequences. I felt like that was just a bit too many dreams in one chapter. If there's going to be a dream in it, there's only going to be one. So what I've done is taken that chapter and moved it up, and perhaps I'll extend it or edit it. I feel like anyway it adds a different feel to the story than how I was originally going to start it. It's gone from the night air was cold as it pushed its way down the compact streets, a familiar fog curling around the red lanterns that dotted the road, taking over the spokes of the iron framework on the overhead bridge. It was a regular sight in the lower levels of the city, the stars that had no doubt started to shine to life hidden in the grime of Ost Hollow. That was the beginning of it, originally. But now it is. The room was dark. The sound of dripping water hitting stone filled the silence. A girl no older than 2 stood alone. Her nightdress clung to her body. "It's hot," the girl whimpered as sweat dripped down her back. So it already creates a tension. It does need tweaking, as it's going to be the first thing that the reader reads, but I feel this is the way to go. So we're going to work with that now. So it would seem that I am in a weird ass mood and I can't seem to write. Like, I finished editing the first chapter for the first book, and I'm still kind of reading through it, just double checking some facts, because I realized that there was some issues with my timeline still that I need to work on. So I did a few things to fix that out, and I'll let you know what those are in a minute. But yeah, I'm looking at the second book of the series, and in all fairness, like, I've written quite a bit. Let's see what my word count is. I've really written 30,000 words to it, and I know that there's so much that I want to put into this book, almost too much, for individual characters. So what I think I'm going to do is just handwrite what I want to happen with each character for the whole story, like what the main plot issues are for them, how much is that worth putting in the book or just explaining later, and maybe some key events. Like, in this document I have written like little snippets of what I want to happen, just so that I could remind myself, because maybe I came up with the idea long before it was possible to even start writing it. So yeah, I'm gonna do that so that I have a small idea of what I want to happen to each individual character, and then I can kind of be like, well, this chapter can go there, then this one will work better with that one, blah 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 blah. Going back on what I said that I'll let you know. So as I'm still currently reading through the first book, and before I can actually bring it out to you lot, what I did to just kind of solidify my timeline is so I brought a cork board, and it is my timeline. It looks like a heap of mess on camera, but actually what it is the timeline before the story started. So it's basically the millennia. It's the millennia before Rey was born. So the stuff that happened with her family, the things that happened with characters who are over 1,000 years old, all that jazz, so that I was able to be like, well, so I could turn around and say, well, the war happened 2 centuries ago, and I know that that's right, because I got a little confused and people's ages weren't matching with what they were saying. So by having the timeline solidified, I am actually able to confirm the facts of the story. Whether or not it affects the reader isn't really the issue, it's more about the fact that I know. I do need to get a bigger board. Like, I want a real big whiteboard so I can put everyone's timeline on it, so I can mix the 2 stories together. The characters that I'll bring into the second book obviously have a past. Most of them are going to be immortal, so they will have a very big past, and their past will affect the present. So in my head, I need it planned out. I don't know whether or not this is just me. If any of you have this issue, like, I need to know my characters to the smallest detail, even though no one else will know it. It's mental. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do now. I think I'm obviously not in the mind space to write, I think, because all I've been doing is editing for the past 2 weeks. And it's not that I'm not inspired, like, I'm itching to start writing, but I feel like I could prepare better. I will update you if there's anything that needs updating about. So I managed to write what I've planned, and to be fair, it wasn't as in-depth as I thought it was going to be. Obviously it'll be a lot different when I write it, but the basis of what I want to write and what I want to do isn't that complicated until I got to the problem. Now, Rey, my main character, gets given this book, and it was written by her parents before she died, and there are sections within the book that are written in a dead elven language. In the second book, luckily, coincidentally, of course, Rey meets someone who can read this language, so that language barrier doesn't become so much of an issue. But in the first book, we have Fane and Kullit working together to try and basically translate the language. When they finally get parts of it translated, they realise that everything they're translating doesn't make any sense, or parts of it doesn't make any sense. I'm still not decided on that. And Fane realises that it's a shift cipher, or a Caesar cipher. I'll put some photos here to showing you what one looks like, which is all well and good, but I've done some more research on the Caesar cipher, and I realised that they are immensely easy to crack. Like, they are too easy to figure out now. So I decided to make it a little bit harder for myself and look into other ciphers. Now, I'm still going to use the shift cipher as well, mostly because this book was written for Rey and Lilla, so they can't expect Rey or Lilla to figure out a complicated cipher without knowing keys or anything along those lines, or code words or anything along those lines at all. And if they did, the book would be immensely long and a lot of maths would be involved in it, and my head cannot handle doing that sort of thing. So continuing with the shift cipher, or the Caesar cipher, I've decided that I will write kind of like a riddle for Rey to figure out, and when she figures that out, it will give her the key to the other cipher that I'm using, which is the veneer. I might be saying that wrong. I'll pop it here again. Anyway, this cipher is, in my opinion, a little bit more technical, but still for readers and writers who want to look into this sort of cipher, it's quite easy to understand, unless you want to try and figure it out without the keyword, and then your brain becomes a puddle like it did for me. Now, I feel like I want to put this into my work and actually show the codes and stuff, so that if the reader reads it and they know that this is this code and they can figure it out themselves alongside Ray, so it kind of brings some interactive content to the book, which I think would be really cool. Some people might just carry on reading because I know that the answer will be there, but yeah. I am having to now plan out kind of how she's going to find out the answers, and I've decided to make it even more complicated with the fact that anything that's written in a father's hand has a different keyword to anything that's written in a mother's hand. But that is what I've been doing, and I haven't even written the part yet. I think what I'm going to do, kind of make a mock-up of the journal that she is going to have, mostly for me, but also I feel like it would be a really cool way to gather my thoughts and realise what I want to actually be inside this journal, so that when she's reading it I can actually reference the pages that I've made. So I'm going to now, or throughout the next couple of days, try and plan out an actual journal for Ray. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like this will be quite fun. It's something that I enjoy anyway, just researching and putting it all into a book. It's basically what I did at uni. Which means as well, like, whilst I'm making this journal, I'm also going to be having to put them into code and ciphers, and that's mental to me. I'm also going to have to make up an Elven language, or find some stuff on the Elven language, because it's going to have to be written in it. So I've given myself a lot of work for something that I don't necessarily need, but I want. So I'm going to start doing that now. If you want to see a video of me making that journal, please comment and leave a like down below, because I will definitely be filming it, and if you are interested in seeing it, I will upload them. It would be great. So apparently I forgot to film a closing title. I obviously was too excited to make this journal that I didn't film it. So here I am. If you liked the video, leave a like and a comment down below. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell to be notified every time I upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.